howdy, and welcome to Moose Podcast 330. Coming to you live, but chilled from beautiful Montana. Hey, it got down to minus 16. Right now it's back up to minus 10, but it's going back down. I hope you're staying warm. There's a few people out there I know who are chilled as well. Remember, your images. Take a look at them. They'll warm you up. Hope you had a great week. I'm back from a marvelous time in Yellowstone. I don't know. I've been there, I don't know how many times in the winter. It is fresh and new every time. I absolutely love that place in the winter. I hope that sometime you get some time and spend, it got to be a minimum of 5 days. And it's just spectacular. What a great piece of our wild heritage. Hey, I want to thank my good friend at Bedford's Camera, Bedfords.com, for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. Hey, right now they've got an online Lightroom masking seminar coming up that go to their website, Bedfords.com, check it out, sign up for it. You also got the Nikon Z30, which I talk about a lot. It's one of my favorite little travel cameras of all time in stock, as well as they've got the Z9 in stock. So, Bedford's Camera, Bedfords.com, home of the Moose discount. Hey, they're great folks. They're all about photography. Check them out. Remember to thank them for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. I'm going to get right into this week's episode. January 2023 questions. Yeah, I've got a bunch of questions piling up. I couldn't wait. So I just need to start diving into them. I'm going to start off, I think, with a couple of the easiest ones first. I had Jill emailed, saw that I had mentioned that the ProGrade 1 terabyte cards had been reintroduced. And she said simply, I wish I got to do something about my handwriting. Must I use the largest and fastest cards? No, Jill, you don't. So a couple things, and you got to remember that some of the stuff you read is definitely marketing, some of it's hype, some of it's misinformation. What I recommend you do is every manufacturer has you got to really peck through that instruction book, have requirements that they say cards need to have for the camera to deliver the performance that they talk about throughout their instruction book. A Z9, for example, has a number of requirements for write speed, especially for video, to get the quality that the camera can deliver at the settings you have put into the camera. Now, couple things. The 1 terabyte card from ProGrade. Now, I love ProGrade for so many reasons. But it goes way back to when I started out, because the ProGrade people were Lexar people way before Lexar was bought by the current people. And I've had a long established relationship with those guys, and I know the quality they put into a card. Now, the reintroduced 1 terabyte card, it's got the minimum speeds that the Z9 needs for doing slow motion video, for example. That's important to me. What if it's not important to your photography? Well, then, Jill, you don't need to have a card with those same specs. You'd be surprised, but yeah, you can use almost any card in a camera as long as it fits in the slot, doesn't do damage physically. You just have to understand that some write speeds might not allow your camera to perform at the speed in which it's advertised or talked about in the instruction book. So it's kind of simple. A lot of things make it quite complicated, but that's all there is to it. If you want the most from that camera, you've got to have the minimum speeds the manufacturer says are required for whatever it is you're looking to do. Okay, one easy one down. Next one. Thomas asked, do you use SB5000s anymore? Thomas, I don't. with Nikon working with ProPhoto, I have gone to All Pro Photo for my small flash. I say small flash a little hesitantly because the ProPhoto A10, while it physically is small, it delivers big, beautiful light. Just had a lot of fun in Yellowstone with the group that I had with me, and we did full daylight flash studio work at Artist Point, and I was able to, with the Z51.2 on the Z9, had the A10 in the Click Octa, put it right there in front of them, and was able to rip off 10 frames really quick of each person. Flash never had an issue keeping up with that and the power and the beautiful light and all that snow, nailed the exposure, boom. And that speed and ease when it was, -4 degrees, I just love it. The light's gorgeous. So, yeah, the SP5000s, we have cleared at this point all of them out of the locker, and I'm strictly ProPhoto A10 and B10 and the B1. So I appreciate that question. All right. Then next from Charles, do you ever buy used gear? Actually, I do. I buy used gear quite a bit, Charles. Uh, Now, right now, it's a little more of a challenge because the Z is relatively new and there's not like a whole lot of used gear. But in, I guess it was after Thanksgiving or first December. Anyway, I did pick up from Bedford's a mint brand, used Nikon Z6 II. Uh, it was still in the box, as far as I could tell. It looked brand new. Works great, and I saved some serious coin. And I think in the last couple days, Nikon USA put out the first refurbished list that included the Z9. And I have bought refurbished gear back in the day, the DSLRs. I got a D750, I got a D800, I got a D5. So I remember getting those used. So yeah, I have no issue buying used gear. Now, if you are an MPS member, which is if you get the platinum, I believe it is, you got to go to that Nikon USA website, click on MPS, and look at the levels. I don't have it memorized, but I'm pretty sure platinum is the highest level. So you get that. Not only is the money you pay to become a platinum MPS member come back to you when you buy gear, so it's actually free at the end of the year. If you when you buy the gear, you also get the repairs. So buying used gear when you have that Nikon MPS behind you, it takes all the worry out of buying that used Nikon gear. So yeah, I do it and highly recommend it. You can save money, and it's a great thing. All right. Coming down, I'm going to save the worst or the hardest question, I guess you could say, for last. So now I'm on, it looks like number 4. All right. Uh, try, try to read my handwriting. I got to do better. Rich asked this question. Rich asked, how do I, as in Moose, how do I pick my next lens to purchase? Rich, that's that's a really good question. There is a number of criteria that goes through my mind um, in what lens I'm going to buy next. So, Rich, I wish I could be honest with you because you do go on and say, "Do I get lenses I want?" Rich, I have, as far as I can remember, never been able just to go buy a lens I want. I've always I don't know, it's guilty conscience, it's the way I was raised, being a business person, whatever it is, when I go to buy camera gear or lenses, they have to be lenses that I need, and at the same time, they have to be a lens that I need that's gonna do multiple tasks. not just um, the Z105 macro lens. Great macro lens, also a great portraits lens. So it does two things in one, which was what I'm trying to spit out here. So um, the way that I pick the lenses I'm going to buy next, that's the first thing. It has to be a lens that I need. Now, what's that need arise from? One or two things: either a project that I'm going to go after and get, or one that has been dropped upon me. Either way, it's a lens for a project where if it's a short term or something that's going to be just a specialty, I'm going to either get the loan from Nikon MPS to cover the shooting period, or loan rent the lens from uh, one of the lens houses in the country, gear houses. That is, short term. That's what I do because buying lenses is expensive, and with the general rule of thumb that you have to earn $5 for every dollar you spend, I'm always keeping that in mind. So, with that said, I have just added to the kit in the last couple of weeks the Nikon Z50 1.2 lens. And you might be saying, that's a portrait lens. And that's kind of like the main pigeonhole for that lens. I shot with it quite a bit when I was in Yellowstone. And keep in mind that when I get a new piece of gear, body or lens, I tend to just, for the first few weeks, I just pound it. As in, I go and shoot with it and shoot with it and shoot with it with those things that are what you say pigeonholed. For example, I just talked about the portraits I did of my friends at Artist Point with the Profoto A10. Well, I used the 51.2 it's a portrait lens. I also shot a whole lot of other landscape shots and macro shots because it's a great macro lens. It gets almost 1-to-1 reproduction at 1.2. The depth of focus is so shallow, it's kind of cool to pop some things out. But it's a radically sharp normal lens, really, really, really sharp. And for shooting snow crystals, it was just phenomenal because they just sparkle. So in this case, I picked up the Z51.2 for specifically for some aviation projects that I have coming up in 2023. So that's how I go about picking that next lens. I hope that information helps. All right, so I left the last question, which I think is the most challenging to answer for last. And the person asked me not to mention who asked the question, which is the first time I've had that. So, but I'll honor it. And their question is, it says, Moose, you've been mentioning a lot lately fieldcraft and field ethics. I went and Googled that, and I don't really find what that's all about. Can you explain what field ethics is all about, at least to you? All right, so I'm just going to call you Anonymous for now so I can actually talk to you. So, Anonymous, so field ethics. Couple things. I'm very old school. You should know that I am I'm an old fart, been doing this for a long time. And my field training was not at the hands of photographers. It was at the knees of biologists and researchers. And they have very distinct uh, taught in universities fieldcraft and field ethics when it comes to working with critters, and they pass that craftsmanship, that responsibility, that common sense, that common courtesy to me, and that's what I use when I go in the fields. Now, field ethics. Something happened this last week where I said something out loud again to somebody. And I always end up in regret of that because it always comes back to bite me. Whether I'm right or wrong doesn't mean is irrelevant. But um, in Yellowstone at behind the Sinclair gas station at Canyon, and it's well known. It's just packed with photographers because there's a big dumpster there. And this is the second or third year that a family of pine martens have called that dumpster home in the wintertime. It is absolutely pine martens are a very elusive critter, and to have a this scenario where they're quite active and happy and have gotten habituated makes it, for the respectful photographer, a really great scenario. We went there a couple times, and a couple times we just sat in the coach and looked at the scenario. Too many photographers there, and didn't want to be part of the problem. I refuse to be part of the problem. I have to be part of the solution, which again comes down to my field ethics. And there was a time we were there. We got there, and there was nobody there, and you could tell by the snow that there'd been a lot of photographers there, and a lot of them. Um, I guess they just don't know what they're doing because where they actually place themselves when it comes to photographing them. And well, we were there, and we got some shots. We had maybe 10 minutes with the Martins. They seemed to have been pushed a lot, and I didn't like the way it was going, so I said, "Let's go." There's no photograph worth sacrificing the welfare subject. Anyway, we were walking away from this, and all my group was in front of me. I was the last one out, and these couple people went by, and my back was to the trash can. Then I hear this bam, 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 bam on the trash can, and I said to myself, "Nah, nah, no one would be doing that." I turn around, and there's this person who's walking away from the trash can who was beating on it to get the pine martens to come out. And I turned around and I gave this person the moose stare, as my friends like to say, and I said very out loud, I said, don't tell me you just did that. Just don't tell me." And this person said, "Oh, yes, I did." And I was very loud. And I'm sure the ranger whose house is dumpsters by heard me yelled at him, back at him. That is wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. And I was flipping mad again. My apologies, but not only is that just the rudest thing on the planet, why would that person think that Martin would go, "Oh, there's someone down there knocking on this metal can. I should come out and pose for him." And that is field craft. That's field ethics, and that person had none. None. And the thing that got me was that a number of the people who were in the group with that person to the knocking, came up to me and said, "Thank you for saying that to that person." And that really shocked me. So obviously the person had already done really nasty things. Now, talking to a couple of other people who've been there, they all had about 15 minutes with that pine marten. And well, here comes the fieldcraft part of this whole thing. So our very last day, weather was nasty. It was -3, -4, it was snowing, a little bit of a breeze. Um, ha- um, Hayden Valley had so much wind that coaches were getting stuck. It was white out. There wasn't gonna be a whole lot of things to photograph, so I made the decision just to go over to the Pine Marten and just park there and see what happened. And we went, and we were the first ones there. Now, in that scenario, basically, I kind of control the whole situation by having my group all use their longest lens on a tripod, and you could see where people are normally standing. We stood 5 feet further back than most people were standing. We stood back. I was the minimum focus distance of the 800 is about 18 feet, and I had about 2 feet left. So we had about 20, 25 feet between us and the front edge of this trash can, and there's all the snow on it. And we got there, and we saw one pine marten perched up high, covered with snow. It had been out for a while. And my group is they're great. They move slowly. That's the first thing. That's part of Fieldcraft. You move slowly. You don't open your mouth because you're a guest in their home. Um, and so many people are so freaking loud around this place. I just want to yell, shut up. Anyway, and we, like I said, come together. We're quiet. We don't move. We're not fidgety. And within a few minutes, we're photographing the pine martens. And it turned out we had almost 2.5 hours with the pine martens because we were perfect guests. That is a combination of fieldcraft and field ethics. And I wish that, well, I wish that Rich, there was that was well defined, and people were it was required for people to learn how to do that because too much egregious stuff goes on, like knocking on a trash can by ignorant people. And so I hope that answered that question. Hey, my blood pressure didn't go up too much answering it. So I feel good about that. I don't like yelling at people, but I just couldn't handle it. Well, so that is the questions I've had so far. Uh, and the first 30 days of the year that I thought I better get answered before they start piling up. I appreciate ever so much your support, folks, and your questions. And I'm here to help you any way I can because it's important for me. And I want you to remember to make every click your story.